Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled D.O.D. Directive 3000.09 Autonomy in Weapons Systems. Alright, I'm going to bring you an update regarding the NATO war of Switzerland versus the world. I'm coming to you live from District 12 of the Hunger Games of the phony, fake clown show referred to as the United States of America, which is unified under a Masonic flag of 13 stripes, red and white. And we have the clowns drape themselves in the Masonic flag of allegiance. Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, face diaper, COVID toxic Joe Biden, and Robert Kennedy Jr. all drape themselves in a Masonic flag because they are slaves within their system under penalty of death. Don't get me started on Robert Kennedy's garroted wife, Mary Richardson, his second of three wives before he married his next ex. He was dating a married Cheryl Hines at the time that his wife, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s wife, Mary Richardson Kennedy, was murdered and garroted whilst her husband, Robert Kennedy, a convicted heroin mule, was convicted for felony possession of heroin in years earlier, and it was Mary Richardson who stuck by him. But anyway, he ended up having an affair with Cheryl Hines, was the fake wife of Larry David, the unfunny Jew who brought us those ridiculous shows, Much Ado About Nothing kind of shows. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Cheryl Hines, the fake wife to the unfunny Jew from Pacific Palisades, Larry David. Anyway, Cheryl Hines, who was married at the time, was dating or playing hijinks with Robert Kennedy Jr., whilst Mary Richardson was garroted and then hung and displayed from a beam in the barn in upstate New York, and they called it a suicide, which is preposterous, ridiculous, because the ladder that was used to hang and display Mary Richardson was in another part of the barn. In other words, the killers hoisted her up. I'm sure they garroted her and murdered her first, then went to display the body in a ritual way, the way that Sharon Tate was displayed, for example, post-mortem staging, in the way that John Benet Ramsey was garroted and displayed in the wine cellar, post-mortem. It's very common in NATO gladio murders to display the body post-mortem. It was done at the Sharon Tate scene, it was done at the John Benet Ramsey scene. It was done at dozens of other murder scenes, including the Elizabeth Short Black Dahlia was done in that case, right? And it was done with Mary Richardson Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s second of three wives. It was done there too. But the killers then repositioned the ladder behind a wall, so sort of sending the message to anyone that was paying attention that Mary Richardson didn't hang herself, okay? She would have needed the ladder to be, somewhat in close proximity to her body, and it wasn't. It was in another part of the barn. So anyway, people believe almost anything so long as it comes across the electronic magnetic resonancy of television or a computer screen. So I'm going to read from a document that was effectively prepared on January 25th, 2023. So talking about something that is 18 months old. All right. And what I want to preface this by letting you know that just because I found a document doesn't mean that was really the effective beginning of the action that the document refers to. I think the action starts 10 to 15 years in advance of any paper trail. So in other words, if you're going to roll out an autonomy weapon system, you probably want to beta test it first. Then once you work out the bugs and you know it works, then you prepare your official Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, Autonomy in Weapon Systems. So with that said, you do know that they do edit, censor, delete, and tamper with evidence, right? You do know that. When I say they, I mean the intelligence services for NATO. For NATO. And the Department of Defense and DARPA and HARP are all controlled by Swiss bank authorities. So this is 100% a Swiss bank controlled document. Effective date, January 25th, 2023, 18 months ago. Releasability, which is a word that doesn't exist in the dictionary. In other words, it's been cleared for public release, except the clueless public never really takes any interest in any directives from NATO. It's available on the Directives Division website if you want to know. There's a web address. I will provide a link to this document. I do encourage you to wade through it. It's very difficult to read this document. It's written in applied linguistics to make your eyes glaze over and, give up, capitulate. It was approved by Catherine H. Hicks, who was a Deputy Secretary of the Defense Department. She's a shill. Who cares if she approved it or not? Anyway, it has a table of contents. It's an extensive, comprehensive document concerning autonomous weapons. They use liberal amounts of acronyms to throw you off the trail. The OSD of military departments, the Office of the Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is CJCS, and the Joint Staff, and the Combat Commands, the Office of Inspector General of the Department of Defense, which is the Department of War, and the defense agencies, which are NATO, and the Department of Defense Field Activities, and all other organizational entities within the D.O.D. That would include the contractors, like Northrop, Grumman. That would include General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin. That would include TRW. That would include Raytheon Missile Guidance System, Bell Nokia Labs, and several hundred other corporate contractors who work for NATO. That would include Palantir, Peter Thiel, and his gay lover wife, and his former gay boyfriend, Jay Thomas, who was plummeted to his death. About the time that this memo was produced in January 2023, and it was Peter Thiel's gay lover, age 35, Instagram model, Jay Thomas, who was murdered on March 8, 2023. So shortly after this memo was released, Peter Thiel, who is the one of the founders amongst numerous Jewish founders, created Palantir, which works exclusively for the Department of Defense, NATO, and DARPA. And this document is a representation of Department of Defense, which is who Peter Thiel's and Palantir work for this company. This is where they get their money, right? Well, it's where they allegedly get their money. Anyway, autonomous weapons are having to do with the drones over your home and the drones tracking your bones. This is something that most people don't believe is possible. For several hundred years, they've had navigation systems. Remember, Columbus discovered the Caribbean islands, right? And he did that using a compass and used the constellation of stars to track his path, right? So he also wanted to get home. And then we've come up with many different radar systems since the 1800s, from the Titanic to the sinking of the USS Maine in the port of Havana in February 1898, and then eventually to through World War I, through World War II, Pearl Harbor. There was advancements in star constellations, satellite integration, sonar, radar systems for submarines, systems for ships, systems for airplanes and transport, so that people could navigate the world and get back home or get to an airport to refuel and or refuel in air. You have to have a navigation system for two planes to come together to coordinate, to align, and you need navigation to find your way home. ET wants to go home. So we've done that, and decades have gone by. And so today we have all the navigation systems that drones can use, helicopters, with or without human beings. You've got automatic pilot. You have visual pilot that requires, an operator to work the controls. So you have manual, you have automatic. We've got self-driving taxi cabs now. We have human-driven taxi cab, Ubers, right? We got Uber cars. You can choose between driverless or driver taxis today. But the system that will connect your bone marrow, and your molecular, cellular, human body area network, what will connect this up to the cloud, to the HAL 9000 computer, is medical telemetry. They're sneaking this radar system, which is trace tracking and targeting. So all weapons are surveillance systems, right? You have to be able to lock onto a target before you can deploy your weapon, deadly, beams, your beam steering, your bullets. Your bullets are your beams. Your laser-guided weapon bombs, or your electronic direct energy weapon, your photon beam, your acoustical sound waves, your pave pause pulsing, ringing in your ears, giving your victim headache and paranoia feelings. If you can't trace, track, and target your victim, you will not be successful. So they have found the cover story is going to be, Medicare and home delivery, like DoorDash will deliver your groceries or your meals, your nice hot plates, and Medicare or Blue Cross or Blue Shield will deliver your electronic pharmaceutical stimulations. In other words, you won't have to go down to CVC or Walgreens to buy your drugs. You can just go on the website and type in, if you're feeling depressed, and they will deliver to you a Prozac beam, a photon beam, through your walls into your bedroom or whatever room you are in your house. The beam will find you. It will verify your identification because you will have, DNA identification, effectively a real ID, whether you volunteered or not. And then the machine will zap you with your antidepressant electronic or photonic light beam to make you feel like you smoke 4 or 5, marijuana cigarettes, right? Like the Doobie Brothers. And you may even hear a Doobie Brothers song. But the point is, if they can do that, if they can tranquilize you when you're feeling down, or excite you when you're feeling down and you want to get up, then how hard would it be to give you a stroke, heart attack, embolism, brain embolism, and just put you to sleep permanently, right? And the answer is they can do any of those things. And they can program into the HAL 9000 algorithms that everybody over the age of 55, lights out, but don't do it all in the same day. Program it out over, 6 months to 2 years to 3 years, so that the local funeral parlors won't overflow with business, right? There's only so many dead bodies that can be processed in your hamlet, in your village or hamlet. We are under a strategic village and hamlet program. And e-medicine is integrated into the strategic village and hamlet program. and they call it e-medicine. Persons who are authorized to use the autonomous weapon systems, which is what I'm talking about, e-medicine. They'll call it e-medicine, but we're talking about this is Department of Defense, NATO, DARPA weapons. These are advanced weapon systems that are being labeled as medical. Don't you see? They never tell the truth. They're talking about a military weapon, and they're going to call it to help deliver your medicine, right? To do health care, so you don't have to go to your doctor, who your doctor doesn't know anything. Look who's running the medical system now. Electrical engineers, software designers, satanic people who want to go to transhumanism agenda, who despise humanity, who want to go to post-humanity. That's who's running Medicare. That's who's running the hospitals. That's who's dispensing medicine, is the electrical engineering and the photon and the acoustic mad scientist. That's who's running medicine in the world today. And the persons who are authorized to use the direct use of or operate autonomous or semi-autonomous weapon systems will do so with the appropriate care and in accordance with the law of war. I don't even know what the law of war is. I think it means if you kill people and you kill the wrong people, it's okay because we were at war. In other words, hey, people get killed. We're at war, right? That's the law of war. So when you say in accordance with the law of war, that means that there's no safeguards. There's no safeguards if they whack someone that they didn't want to whack. And not only that, who authorized the kill in the first place? Who are these people? There's no, who's running the show here? And I think you could take it all the way back to Klaus Schwab in Geneva, Switzerland, to find out who's on the list of people to get killed, right? Is it Roberto Calvi? Is it Gianni Calvini? Is it Michele Sedona? Is it Paul Castellano? Is it Sam Giancana? Is it Lucky Luciano? Is it Ben Siegel, Ben Bugsy Siegel? Is that who's on the list of people to be killed in accordance with the law of warfare? Applicable treaties? What treaties? You mean NATO? North Atlantic Treaty Organization? You mean NATO? Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Weapon system safety rules. Oh, really? I didn't realize there were safety rules. And applicable rules of engagement. They even have a military acronym for that. It's ROE. ROE. It means rules of engagement. ROE. The use of artificial intelligence capability in autonomous or semi-autonomous weapon systems will be consistent with the Department of Defense AI ethical principles as provided in paragraph 1.2.f. I'm sure you're excited to know that the Department of Defense and NATO has ethics and that they even wrote it down, but they can't recite it. They got to refer you to paragraph 1.2.f. With the exception of systems intended to be used in a manner that falls within the policies of 1.2.d number 1 through 1.2.d number 4, autonomous weapon systems, including weapon systems with both autonomous and semi-autonomous modes of operation, must be approved by the Undersecretary of Defense, military acronym USD P for policy. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, USDP. And Undersecretary of Defense for Research Engineering, USDRNE. And the Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, VCJCS, Joint Chiefs of Staff, before any formal deployment can happen. I don't feel secure at all. I don't have any confidence in any imbecile who wrote this memo. Whoever wrote this directive, which means mandate. Directive means mandate. It means a command. It's an order. Whoever wrote Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, Autonomy and Weapon Systems, they should be taken immediately to a mental health facility and admitted for a minimum of 5 years and kept in a padded cell. They are very, very mentally ill. It's going to take decades to cure them. Anyway, I'm going to provide this memo because you won't believe it. Anyway, so this memo has been in operation for at least 18 months. I'm telling you, drones over my homes, they've been activated for at least 10 years. I've counted a minimum of 24 drones over my home, over my township area. And every 2 hours, they hold a fixed position for about 2 hours. Then they remove themselves about 400 to 500 meters and then stay in that location fixed, like over the high school or the intermediate school or over a gas station on Broadway, Main Street. And they have a system, and it's very similar. I'm sure they can type in new orders for the drones. But you can almost set your watch to it when they come out after sundown. They come out and they stay up there. And if you go out at 3 in the morning or so and look up, you lose track of them because they do move around, but they don't move continuously. They hold a fixed position for up to 2 hours. Then they move about 300 yards to 600 yards, half a kilometer. And then they freeze and hold that position. And so they must have good battery life. They can stay up there for, I lose track of them after 5 hours because I get bored, looking up at drones. And I don't want to stay up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning to conclude my research. But, in the morning they're gone, of course. And then we got the chemtrail planes are flying simultaneously that the drones are up there. There are chemtrail dumpings going on by the KC-10 extenders all night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then they take a break. They got to do maintenance on the jets, and then they start back up again at lunchtime and continue. They use 16 hours a day of metamaterial dumping, 16 hours per day. It works out to about 90 to 100 chemtrail sorties per 24-hour period per cycle. So it gives them 1/3 of the time they can work on the planes and refuel them and fill them full of a smart dust, which is aluminum, graphene, lithium, strontium, barium, arsenic, and other recipes. I'm sure they have multiple types of recipes that they use depending on the weather, depending on the saturation level. They have continuous overflights of helicopters and fixed-wing planes that are measuring the toxicity level, pollution of the breathable air above my head. Anyway, autonomous vehicles are ubiquitous and inescapable. They're everywhere. They're in the desert. They're in the Palm Desert. They're in China Lake. They're out at 29 Palms. They're at Joshua National Park, Joshua Tree National Park. They're in the Mojave Desert. They're over the Napa Vineyards. They're over Solano County, Yolo County, Sutter County, Sacramento County, Yuba County. They're over San Mateo County, San Francisco County, Alameda County, Santa Clara County. They are all over Los Angeles County, Ventura County, Santa Barbara County. They are everywhere. They're just wherever the smart dust is, you got drones over your home. And you got drones over your bones, because I believe they have the medical telemetry photonic system to be able to trace, track, and target every moving creature on the planet. It's not just your street lights. Your street lights are weaponized too. Your sidewalk ring cameras are, your boxes in the parks. You have all the smart dust biosensors. They're weaponized. But the drones, they're the most lethal of all, in my opinion, because they can get real close to you and get within a kill box, kill zone, distance to the target, Raytheon missile guidance system controlled. All right, I'm going to post a link to that. Then I'm also going to post a link to an abstract regarding your body area network, because there's still a lot of people out there that don't understand that they themselves are essentially a cellular tower. They are a human antenna. They are augmented to some degree, but even if you've kept yourself in a cocoon for the last 2 years, the drones over your homes and the biosensors from the smart dust will find you if you move outside. If you move inside your home too, they can detect your movement. The BAN, the BAN, the Body Area Network, connects sensors and actuators externally to the human body in order to collect patient information and transmission to doctors in a confined space with limited users. When they say doctors in a confined space with limited users, they're referring to non-medical doctors. You know, like Dr. Ruby, Jane Ruby, for example. She's not a medical doctor, and her PhD is not worth much. It was they don't have her university doesn't have a campus, and they don't have classes. So, in other words, it's a mail order. You send me the money, and I'll send you your PhD certificate, and you can hang it on your wall. That's Jane Ruby. She is a Zionist. She is a Zionist leader known as an unlimited hangout in the way that Whitney Webb is, Lex Friedman is, Jesse Ventura is, Arnold Screw Your Freedom Schwarzenegger is, Bill Maher is, Larry David is, Jerry Seinfeld is, Mort Saul was. They're all fake and phony. Chelsea Handler, Jane Ruby, just another Jewish presenter. They're a Jewish presenter. She is a Jewish presenter, influencer to gain your trust and be utilized during the next phase of this operation, which is drones over your home, which is part of the Department of Defense Prime Directive. You don't hear Jane Ruby talking about drones over your home. You know, she's talking about the vaccine, which is old news, okay? You know, we got bird flu is coming. Bird flu is coming. She's talking about bird flu. Not monkeypox, bird flu. And probably bring mad cow disease back too. All right, well anyway, the Y-band, which is the wireless body area network, is derived from wireless sensor networks known as WSN, wireless sensor networks, and it enables the transfer of patient information. Patient information is, I want to milk you like a cow, and I'm going to steal your aura. I'm going to steal your energy from your body, milk you like a dairy cow, and I'm going to insert lunacy ideas into your head like vote for Kamala Harris, vote for Donald Trump. That could be a example of a wireless sensor network hooked up to a body area network, creating a Y-band, a wireless body area network. That's the Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Arnold Schwarzenegger Screw Your Freedom program. It's where, under the guise of medical healthcare delivery, healthcare monitoring, medical field, sports medicine, multimedia communication, that you will be hooked up to the internet and you'll be a node, and I can push a button on you using sensors and actuators to lead to high energy consumption due to their tiny sizes. And Y-band facilities in securing, storing patient information. I mean, I'm not a patient. I didn't sign up for this. And what they mean is victim, storing the victim's information and transmitting it to a doctor who's not a doctor, a person who is a technician, who has a white coat. He's a Yeti, but he's not a medical doctor. He wears a white coat because he's a scientist, he's an electrical engineer. That's who your doctors are. They're engineers with software degrees. Anyway, without data loss at a specific time, that's like voice over IP, right? Internet protocol, voice over IP, voice over wireless network. They're going to do medical telemetry, two-way street. It's dual purpose. It's to steal your telemetry and your aura and to zap you with pause e-medicine, which could be doping, it could be eugenics, it could be euthanation. Flying Body Area Network, F-band. Have you heard of that? F-band, Flying Body Area Networks, utilizing unmanned aerial vehicles for data transmission, are recommended to promote the rapid and secure communications in the fields of Y-band. The Flying Body Area Network will improve security, scalability, and speed in order to transmit a victim's information to the Yeti doctor, white coat, due to high mobility of the drones over your home. All right, well, I think that pretty much validates the Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, is that they want to use drones over your homes and e-medicine as a way to electronically and photonically control what they call the patient, which I call the victims of NATO felony crimes, the victims of NATO felony crimes. That's what I'm talking about. They call them patients. I'm also going to provide a third link to the American Heart Association update to practice standards for electrocardiographic monitoring in hospital settings. And I want to take this opportunity to let you know that Dr. Jane Ruby, she's not a doctor, she's not a medical doctor, and she doesn't really have a PhD. She has a fake PhD from a post office box, and she doesn't know jack about heart medicine. She's not a cardiac nurse. She has MBAs from Rochester University. Those are academic degrees, like Dr. John Campbell, who's not a doctor. He's a nursing administrator. The degrees that Jane Ruby has, Rubenstein, she's qualified to be in administration. She's not qualified to go anywhere near a patient. All right? She doesn't have medical licenses. But anyway, what I'm telling you is that this is the protocols for hospital settings, and they're turning your bedroom, your living room, your dining room, your television room, your den is being turned into an ICU bed. They're turning everything into the same protocols that are in the ICU or a CCU, critical care unit, intensive care unit, or a routine limit, because there's parts of a hospital where you don't need all the telemetry, but they're turning everyone into a Class A patient where you get 24/7 monitoring. Everyone's going to be monitored 24/7. Everyone's going to be monitored 24/7. And this is an update to practice standards for EKG monitoring in hospital settings. They're going to be able to tell your blood pressure, your pulse rate, your heart rate, your blood pressure, your glucose level, your blood sugar. They're going to tell the activity of your brain, your electrical activity of your heart. They're going to be able to tell what your gallbladder is doing. So in other words, they're going to be able to trace, track, and target every organ in your body. And they could choose or select a specific organ to give you turbo cancer, like was done with Susan Wojcicki, or a mysterious manic episode like they did to Aaron Valente, or a manic episode like they did to Marco Troppo, who is the son of Susan Wojcicki, who is the grandson of Stanley Wojcicki. They can just kill you while you're sleeping, like what they did with Marco Troppo at University of California, Berkeley, at the dorm, in his bed, on the Super Bowl Sunday evening. That was February 13th, 2024. They killed through an invisible NATO weapon, which I'm calling autonomous electronic CEW, cognitive electronic warfare. They put him to sleep permanently sometime around 3 o'clock in the morning would be my guess, on February 14th. His body was found on Monday, February 14th, but I believe he was dead when his head hit the pillow on the Super Bowl Sunday. He was dead. The Super Bowl was played at the Allegiant Stadium at 3333 Al Davis Way. It's Masonic. Allegiance is the relationship between a slave and the slave's owner. That's today's video. I hope you enjoy it. Good luck reading through these 3 different linked documents. It's all you need to know, essentially, folks, is that we have an autonomous weapon system that's fully deployed today. It's fully deployed. This explains why your neighbors are zombies, and the fact that they are going to be, looking forward to vote for Kamala Harris or the Trumpster and Stormy Daniels. Because isn't Donald Trump's running mate Stormy Daniels? I forget. J.D. Vance, Stormy Daniels. What's the diff? Take care. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.